Let's talk about the alarm clock. This is a new item added to Roblox doors in the Floor 2 update, and despite visually looking extremely cool, its functionality is a little, let's say, lacking. You can tell that a ton of effort went into making the alarm clock, such as how it was given a ton of unique animations. Yet this effort seems to go in vain once you realize that the item can only be utilized in a few special scenarios, rendering it useless in most cases. So, in this video, I'll be going over what the alarm clock currently does in-game, as well as two features which I think should be implemented in order to make the item a lot more versatile. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so let's first discuss how the alarm clock currently works so we can see what we are working with. This is an item which is guaranteed to spawn in both Room 49 and Room 50 of the hotel, and its main purpose is to distract Figure. The way it works is that after activating it, a short animation of you winding up the clock is played, and then it is placed down. A few seconds later, the alarm clock will emit a loud ringing sound, immediately grabbing the attention of Figure. Figure will then run over to the placed down clock and stomp on it, resulting in the item shattering and being unusable. Additionally, the alarm clock also has a duration for its ringing, so after a while it will stop distracting Figure. If this happens and Figure hasn't already stomped on the clock, it can be used again for future encounters with the entity. Now, I think that the ability for the alarm clock to distract Figure is perfect the way it is, and I don't think it should be changed. My only issue is that this is the only functionality of the item, meaning in the parts of the game where you aren't dealing with Figure, which is most of the game, the item is completely useless. So, how could more versatility be brought to the alarm clock? Well, there are two areas of the game which I think could benefit greatly from having this item, and the first is the nest. The nest, as many of you know, is the midway point of Floor 2, and it is where players encounter the grumbles. So given how the alarm clock already is useful against the boss of the hotel, I think it should work against the bosses of the mines as well. What I'm suggesting is that much like how this item distracts Figure, it too should distract Grumbles as well. Now, given the size of Grumbles as well as the layout of the nest, the alarm clock couldn't work exactly the same against Grumbles as it does with Figure, as those entities are unable to reach the clock to crush it in many scenarios. For example, if you activate the clock in an area where Grumbles can't access, it can be used to distract them for an essentially infinite amount of time, as they can't destroy the clock. So with this in mind, here's my suggestion for how the clock could work against Grumbles. Essentially, when in the nest and only in the nest, after placing down the clock and it starts ringing, it wouldn't be able to be picked up. It could still be picked up before it starts ringing if accidentally placed. Anyways, once the alarm clock starts ringing, any grumbles with a certain radius of it would be severely slowed down for the duration the clock is ringing, as if its loud noise is causing them extreme anguish. After the clock stops ringing, it would automatically self-destruct or stop working, meaning it can't be used again. If that ending wasn't cool enough for you, one idea I had for how the clock could stop working in the nest is that a mini animation could play of a giggle crawling out of the ground next to the clock, destroying it, then retreating back into the ground, as that would fit the theme of the nest more. If the clock were able to slow down Grumbles, it would not only give the item itself more versatility, which is what we are aiming to do in this video, but it would also help players escape difficult situations in the nest, such as being camped or sandwiched by Grumbles. Additionally, I also think that a single clock should randomly spawn somewhere within the nest, as that way this extra versatility for the item can easily be used by players. This wouldn't be too overpowered either, given how players can only hold up to one clock at a time in their inventory, and how players don't know the location of this free clock, given how it spawns randomly, so it must be hunted for. The way I see it, this seems like a win-win situation. Moving on, my next suggestion to improve the clock involves the back door. Essentially, one of the biggest problems I have with the back door is that at times it can seem RNG-based, especially with lever spawns. This may be a skill issue on my part, but I think that there should be a little buffer room within this sublevel in order for players to not instantly die if they can't find a lever in time. So sticking with the theme of time within this sublevel, I think that the alarm clock should be added as an item which could rarely spawn throughout this area of the game, and it would have a completely new function here. Essentially, my idea is that the clock in the back door would act sort of like a portable lever. What I mean is that after it is found in a container or something, it can be carried around for as long as you like. Once you decide to use it, such as when you are running low on time, and it is placed down and starts ringing, some time will be added to the main timer, allowing you to survive just a bit longer. There would also be some risk to using it though, as much like how the clock normally grabs the attention of Figure, its loud noise would grab the attention of another entity in the back door. If the alarm clock is used within this sublevel, an entity such as Blitz will hear it and immediately begin barreling towards it, destroying it in the process. Additionally, much like in the nest, the clock would not be able to be picked up once it starts ringing, so it wouldn't be able to be used again. And following up on that, time would only be added once the item starts ringing. So, in conclusion, I think that in order to add more versatility to the alarm clock, it should be able to slow down grumbles as well as add time in the back door in addition to distracting Figure. I just think that it's a shame how such a cool item with a noticeable amount of effort put into it is so underutilized, and I tried to make the item have more functionality so it can be used more in this video. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think of these ideas, and with all of that being said, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed.